Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my Ficus benjamina medium leaf size root over temple planting. I'm going to begin today by pruning up the tree. It's grown a lot this summer and it needs pruning back. I'm stepping back looking at the tree, and this is the time to reflect on the tree. How big do I want this tree? How wide do I want the canopy? What shape do I want it? And all these decisions that you come up with, your vision for the tree, will help you in the shaping of the branches. Sophie made a custom pot for this tree from a gray clay that looks a lot like cement, and it's a very rough texture. And it's beginning to get some nice patina on the pot. And I thought it would, this rough kind of clay. Should get lots of patina over the years. So right now the tree is planted in an under tray, terracotta pot under tray. It just catches the water underneath a giant pot. And I didn't repot it this summer because it had been fairly recently repotted into this tray, and I didn't want to disturb the roots too much. I wanted to give it a period of growth before I put it in the larger pot. And it's done that now. You can see all the new growth over the summer. It's very vigorous. So a good time to repot a ficus is kind of early summer. And the next best time is just before you bring them in for the winter. And the reason is this tree is being exposed to all kinds of cool weather. So it's basically dormant. It's had a rest period. And when I bring them into the plant room, which is warm and tropical, it's like spring for them, and they just put on a ton of growth. Not only the top of the tree, but also the root system. So this is a good time to repot the tree, and I will be repotting it. And it may come in part 2 of this series, because today I'm going to start with the top of the tree. I'm back looking at the tree from the front. So I do like the umbrella-shaped canopy. Most ficus in nature are fairly, an umbrella shape or a rounded shape to the canopy. I could round it more, getting a little more height in the middle maybe, making it more ball shaped rather than an umbrella shape. But I like the width. I think when this tree goes in the new pot is just a little bigger in diameter and deeper. And I'm kind of scared that the pot will overwhelm the planting and the tree. I think I have a lot of mass in the temple here, the stone temple. So I think eventually, as long as the canopy is fairly large, I think it'll balance out the pot nicely. That's my initial thoughts anyway. So I don't think I want to drastically change the tree or anything. I think I want to open up the structure. I want to get some branch definition, getting rid of all my vertical shoots to get some flat branches with some space between them. I think that'll be important to give it a mature tree-like look, instead of right now it looks a bit like a bush. It's too dense. You can't see any branch structure. It's just basically a trunk that goes up to a umbrella shape of foliage. So that needs defining. Now, I've always had this hanging branch on here, and last time I pruned the tree, I kept it. So I've got to decide about that too. Do I need it? Does it contribute anything to the tree? Does it give it style? Yeah. So there'll be some big decisions when it comes to pruning this tree up. I really like the fact that the canopy is getting wider. It's getting some good width to it. And I don't think I want to bring it back. I like it being a fairly long canopy with a umbrella shape. So these branches that are coming out the sides here are important. Now there is some vertical aspects to them that will need pruning off. But the basic overall shape is quite pleasing, I think. And I think, as I said, I'll need a fairly large canopy to offset the pot. I was trying to decide what approach I should begin with on the canopy, And I think I'll stick to my tried and true method of doing the profile prune and then going in and doing the branch selection. So it is blue scissors time. All right, here I go. So I'm going to establish the rounded shape on top. There's no point keeping branches that are out of the profile. And I tell people, you know, if you don't have time to work on your trees, just profile prune them and it'll keep the basic shape under control. And then you can always go in and do your branch selection when you have more time to work on the tree. But it's important to kind of keep the basic shape of your tree compact. Doing this profile pruning encourages a lot of back budding, which gives you a lot of branch selection for the future. If you just let your tree grow, you're going to get these long, thick branches coming out the top, and it'll be very hard to get the tree back into control eventually. So I've done the front profile pruning, so I'm just doing the side view now. Checking it from the back now. It's a little heavy here. The right side. And back to the front. So I think that completes the profile pruning. Maybe just a little more here. Rounding it a bit more. Yeah, I think that's looking good for the overall canopy shape. Now within that profile of the canopy, I'm going to do my actual branch pruning. You know, eliminating crossing branches, branches that are growing inwards towards the center of the tree, keeping everything flowing and fanning outwards, and a lot of branches that are either, you know, sticking straight up or straight down, and kind of picking my nice flowing branches. That's always the goal with my ficus, is to create a beautiful flowing tree. All right, I'm going to begin the pruning on this branch on the right hand side here. You can see it kind of sweeps upwards, and then I have two branches coming out from the bottom. And these would probably be replacement leaders to this branch someday, as they kind of grow out and down in this direction, kind of weeping. So I won't be taking those off there for the future, but I will be taking off some of this upwards growth, or pruning it back. So I'm going to quite hard prune this branch back to a leaf here, getting rid of that upwards part of it. And at the tip here, I'll open it up. So I'll pick a new leader to the branch, which I think will be this one, and I'll prune off the upwards growth here, starting with this one, then this one. And now I can decide. Right now it divides from 1 to 3 here. I kind of like these two, so I think I'll get rid of the one out the back here, because it's kind of growing in a funny direction. It doesn't flow as nice as the other two branches. At the back of this branch, you can see there's another part of it growing upwards. So I have a more horizontal branch up top here, so I can prune the top off right here. And that kind of flattens the branch out a bit. I could go further back on this branch. There are some leaves down lower. I think that would look better. I think it's getting a little too tall. So I'll look for good buds here. And I think I'll take it off right here, shortening that branch back. Down low, there's a branch coming out the back and kind of growing in a funny direction, too far back, so I'm going to take that off totally. So here I go, like that. That opens up a bit of space in between the branches. Above that, I have a very similar branch. They're almost duplicated, the two branches sweeping upwards. Not such a good thing. So there's kind of a problem here, is that when you have one branch growing above another, this branch gets all the light, so your lower branch gets weaker, the branch up above gets stronger. I do have some branching out front that I could maybe remove this entire branch. Just trying to see what it would look like. I think that would be a good move. So here I go. I'm going to remove that entire branch there. It's a big cut, but I think it'll improve the tree. So here I go. That's gone. And you can see it opens it up. It's quite nice now. Now, this branch coming out the front is looking very good. So I just want to look at the structure of it and yeah, move anything that's kind of growing inwards. So I'm looking at this branch now. There's one part of it going right vertical here. I'll take out. It's not very flowing. There's one kind of going vertical here. I'm trying to decide if I should shorten it. If I shorten it, the shoot is still coming straight out the front. I think I'm going to eliminate it. I have a weak branch off to this side, which is nice. That could be the new leader if it strengthens up. And then here I noticed some scale insects on the branch. I'll prune that part of it away, and I'll have to spray the tree before I bring it indoors for sure. There's a vertical part here I can prune back to this branch, or this leaf, like that. And I think that's about all I can do for that branch. Well, there's another one coming straight out the front here. Lots of branches coming straight out the front. I better get rid of it. There's no point keeping a branch that's not going a good direction. Okay, so that's got that part of the branch pruned up. There's another part of the branch behind here that kind of goes vertical. So this part of it, you can see, is growing back in towards the tree. So I need to prune that off, like that. And then I can see scale blisters all over this tree. Then I need to fix up the back part of this branch. So it comes up, and I do have a leaf out the back here. I want something kind of flowing out in this direction. So this leaf is a good direction here. So I'll prune it back to that. I'll prune off the one coming inwards. Pick off some of the scale blisters. That's another thing, when you get a really dense canopy, it's hard to spot insect troubles. Okay, I don't know if I can do any more to that branch. I think that's it. So I think now this one trunk line here is quite cleaned up. I do have this new branch growing down here, and I don't want another branch coming from this same area, so I'm going to remove that entirely. And there's another one here. And some little stubs here. I'll prune away. It's nice to see the transition from the trunk into some thick, mature branches. You don't want it hidden by little tufts of foliage there. Okay. There is a branch coming out the back here from it. I'm just going to have a look at it. It's not a very good direction. No, it's not a good direction. I'm pruning it away. Some dead leaves fallen down in the interior of the tree here. I'm just cleaning out. Okay, so that has that one trunk line all cleaned up now. So next, I'm going to tackle this branch coming out the front here. So I've got a good hanging branch here, so I can remove the top here. Like that. I've got something shooting up vertically here. I can remove that. I've got two branches here that are growing. They're bar branches. They're two branches growing from the same spot, so I'll remove the one on the inside here. Keeping my more flowing branches. There's an old leaf I can remove here. I can just... No, I'll leave everything else. I was going to pinch the tip here, but I'm going to leave it. Never hurts to leave your lower branches to grow strong. Okay, now let's look at that hanging branch. Here's a look showing that hanging branch down here. And I'm covering it up with my hand to see if the design would look better with it or without it. My feeling is it would look better without it. I think it spoils that upwards flow of the tree. It's kind of a unique branch, and it kind of starts from the front and it kind of goes towards the back. It's not the greatest looking branch in the world. It's unique, but it's not. You can see here the radial direction would be out here, but it's kind of cranked over. So I'm leaning towards removing it. I'm going to step back and take one final look and then make my decision. Yes, I think it needs removing. I think it spoils the design of the tree. It makes the tree look less mature too, because it's kind of a skinny branch with a strange direction. So off it comes. All right, here I go. It is gone. Quite a branch. Now that's a fairly flush cut. I don't think I need to clean that up any further. I'm just kind of cleaning up some of these little sucker stubs here. Try and keep the trunk fairly smooth on it. Okay. Now, when I pick the front of this tree, let me just show you the front. So right now you're looking at the temple kind of flat on to the front face. And I've always liked it just rotated a bit. So when I rotate it, this branch here, instead of coming straight out at you, it's kind of to the side and you have a view of the trunk. And I think it's the nicer view of the tree. And the temple is, again, not flat on, so I think it makes the temple look a little more dimensional. It shows kind of the front face and a bit of the side face rather than just one face of the temple. So I think it gives it a bit of shape and it improves that branch structure. So I'll mark the front of the tree. I just remembered I did have the front of the tree marked with a stone in here, and I think it's right here. So yeah, there's the front of the tree. I'll just pick away some of that moss. So it was marked in that position. Okay, let's continue on with the branch pruning now. So next, I'm following this kind of stump up or branch. It's had a hard prune here. And then if I look out the back, I have multiple branches coming out from one spot here, including a new sucker here I'm going to remove. I don't want more coming from that area. So I need to pick my best branches coming from that spot. So I think, you know, I have my more horizontal branch here. I think I want to keep these ones as kind of flowing upwards. So I have a lower branch here I think I can remove. That would be this one right here. Unfortunately, that's one of the ones contributing to the width of the canopy. There's that one and the one here. Oh, do I want to get rid of that? Maybe not. I could get rid of the one in between here. Tough decision. I think for the future I need to get rid of this one. There's just too many branches in this area. If I want this branch to develop, I don't want, you know, two horizontal branches coming from almost the same spot. So even though it contributes to the width, I have to remove it. And I will. So here I go. Just come in from the back here. I'll take a little sucker off there first. And then I'll come in and scissor prune it and then clean it up. So here I go. That branch comes off. Let's see it from the front now. Okay, still looking good. The tree will look sparse after today, but they fill in again. So I need to clean that cut up. So I'll come in here with my pruners, my spherical pruners, and just take that stub back, maybe a little further to there. And I don't know if I can clean that lower one up a bit more there. And I'll put a bit of rubber cement on those cuts just to seal them up until they heal. Like that. So next, I'm still looking in this same area here. So I've got 3 branches, no, I've got 4 branches coming from the top of this sort of stubby part. I think I definitely want to keep the one coming out front here. I've got another one here that's looking okay. Maybe it makes it a little crowded in there. Yeah. So I would keep the one out here and get rid of this one, which is kind of crowding this branch. So that'll be my next cut, removing that one. Here I go. It's gone. And I'll also clean that up. Like that. Put a little rubber cement on it. And all will be good. Okay, let's see it from the front now. Yeah, that's helping clean it out. So I'm definitely keeping this branch. So I need to prune it up. So these are the lower branches. They're kind of horizontal, and then as I go up the tree, they go from either drooping or horizontal, and they slowly raise to vertical branches up in the canopy. So this branch will be angled more. I'm not after, you know, making it totally flat and horizontal. It's not an upper branch in the canopy. I have lots of branches up here to fill that out. So I have a vertical part here I'm going to remove, and I think you can see it here. So that comes off. So you can see I still have it angling upwards. And then there's a vertical shoot here I can remove. There's an old leaf I can clean out. I've got some drooping branches here, which are nice. I've got a vertical shoot back here I can prune away. And a vertical shoot here. And I will prune the tip off here, making it a little more compact. And then this one, which has scale insects on it also, I'm going to prune back to here, just taking the tip off. And I think that's looking quite good. I'll clean up a few older leaves here. Yeah, now you can see this branch is kind of growing into the one behind it. Hopefully, you know, it'll grow out front here in the light, and I can prune away these branches going out the back more, like this one here. But for now, I'm going to keep it. There is one here growing back towards the other branch, and I think that one needs removing. Again, it's just not a good location. So now, off of this stump, you can see I have a few vertical branches here, and that's good if I want them to be the apex, which I think, you know, this is really my only choice for the apex is this one. And I have a duplicate one behind it, which, ooh, yeah, I think that's got to come out. One of those has to be the apex, and I'm thinking this one, even though it kind of swoops back and then forward, I think this one's just too far back. I don't think it's as good. So it'd be a big cut removing that, but I think it's something that needs to be done. There's just two branches growing right beside each other. Now they would eventually probably fuse together someday, creating one kind of vertical branch. Is that maybe the solution? Maybe. I think maybe that is. You can see them, they kind of grow side by side, so you can imagine them thickening up, eventually fusing and joining to one branch. So I'm just going to clean them up. I'm taking off any branches kind of growing back and cluttering up the tree. So I do like this one coming forward. There's an old pruning stub I can take off. I can shorten this one a bit. Take the tip off. I can take the tip off here. I can take the tip off here. Just reducing it back a bit, and there's a vertical one here I'll take out. Structurally, that's okay. There's an old leaf I can remove here. Get some light into this canopy. There's a branch here I may keep. There's kind of an awkward looking branch. Where's the front here? Right here. I better keep it for now. It's a little awkward, but if I remove that, then I'm reducing a lot of foliage coming out the front of the tree, and I think it would look a bit funny. So I better keep that. I'll take off this one. It's kind of growing straight at you. Just a little shoot and a bit of cleanup here. maybe take the tip off this one. Like that. Take a little branch off here. Like that. Okay. So now, out the back here, you can see I have the same situation. I have two branches going from the one spot. So in this case, I think I'm quite safe to prune away the upper one and keep my thicker lower branch, which has, you know, better branching on it. It's a more mature branch. I think it's the better branch to keep. So I'm going to cut away the upper one so I don't have two branches. Or actually, there's about three here going from one spot. So here I go. So that is gone. Quite a branch. So it's starting to open it up a bit. So now I have two kind of branches. I'm just going to clean out some little suckers here so I can see what's going on a bit better. Yeah, I kind of have, I pruned away this one, and then I think I can get rid of this one also. And so there's not so many branches growing from one spot, so I'll get rid of this one. So that one's gone. Opening it up a bit, quite a bit. And you can see the big scar at the back here is healing quite nicely. There's not much dead wood at all anymore. It's being engulfed by living tissue. So that's good. All right, let's go back to the front and see what it's looking like. It's looking better. All right, I think I need to look at this area now. So I've got my major trunk line, and then I have a branch coming out the back. And do I need that? It's a nice branch. Well, let's start up higher. I have two branches growing from here, and they're both kind of parallel. So I think I'm just going to keep the one which is growing out the back here. Keeping this one and pruning away this one because this is a nicer branch and this one's not so good. So off it comes. Like that, that's gone. So you see this branch fills that area in nicely. I think I'll keep this branch. It's quite nice. I will prune away the vertical parts of it because it's a lower branch and I want it more horizontal. Like that, maybe even take it back to here. Like that. There's part of this branch down low, and I think it's growing over top of the other ones. I'm going to take that out just to clean out that structure a bit. Take away some of these older leaves here. Again, just to get more light in here to generate new branches. More choices. So I kept this branch out the back. I'm going to get rid of a vertical part of it here. Like that. And I've got some bar branches here. You can see it divides from 1 to 3 there. So I need to determine which is my most flowing branches and get rid of one of them. So I'll go back to the front. Have a look at that branch and I think it's going to be this one here because it's growing in the shade of the branch above it, and from the front view, it just goes straight back, so you don't really see it. So it's coming off like that. Just clean that up a bit. That gives a little more room for these branches. So this branch then, I have a vertical part I can take off here and here. I have a vertical part I can take off here. And I can trim this one back. And maybe even, this is a lower branch, so I think I'll take this whole vertical part off, keeping the branch a little flatter. Okay, it's getting there. So now I kept this branch, so now I need to prune it up. So I'm going to take off this little sucker here. Some old leaves here, cleaning it up a bit. So now you can see this branch, it's growing, and it divides from 1 to 3 there. Right here. So I need to, again, prune one of them away. So let me go to the front. Have a look at that. Well, it's going to be the one on the inside. This one contributes to the width. This one just kind of is back there. Yeah, so that one's coming off. So here I go, big cut coming up. Wow, that was a big cut. This branch is kind of going over the other one. I'm going to try and redirect it by pruning it back to here. Opening that up a bit. More dead leaves in there. I'll just trim this one back to redirecting it up the back. So on this branch, you can see it comes up, it kind of sweeps upwards, and then I have like this one coming out the back, which is a little stiff looking. It's not very flowing. Let me see it from the front. It looks okay from the front. It's not the worst thing in the world. So I think what I need to do, I'm going to prune this vertical part off right here, like that. And then I need to prune it back. It's too kind of straight and stiff looking, so I'm going to hard prune it back. There's a couple of leaves on it, so it'll maintain some sap flow. Should do all right. Wow, this is getting quite naked looking, this tree. Okay, now, from the front, this is looking a little wide now, as I've kind of sheared everything away. So I'm going to, it's a lower branch, so I'm going to keep it quite flat. So I'll take off this vertical part. I could prune this back to the sweeping branch, and I will, this cascading branch. I'll take off, I could even prune it back to this one. I think I will. Bit of hard pruning here, like that. Take off the vertical bits here. Some old leaves here I can remove. Oh, I should remove that one, but that's okay. And I'll prune this one, the tip off. Okay. This one, I've already pruned it up. I'm wondering, I think it's okay. I was wondering about removing this lowest branch, but I'll leave it on for now. Okay. So now we're up into the canopy section. Just removing some old leaves here. I'm going to prune off some vertical growth here. Well, I'm getting closer to completing the pruning. There's a few suckers growing up in here I can remove. Not so sure about this branch. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't like the direction of it. It's just not growing in a good direction. Well, let's step back and have a look from the front of the tree now. Here is a look at the tree from the front. Wow, what a pruning I gave it. I certainly began to sort that structure out a lot better. And I'm wondering about this branch here. I think that one's got to go. It's kind of growing between the two major trunk lines. So it's got to go. That looks better. Yeah, you can definitely see the structure now. I think I better take off the top of this branch and prune this one back. Well, the structure looks very ficus-like in the way that it's on a ficus. You see very similar branch structures like this. Here is the Blue Jay Bonsai Carnage Cam. Wow, did I take a lot off today. Big branches, little branches, dead branches. Yeah, that was a lot coming off. So I think when I repot it in the larger pot, the tree is definitely going to look insignificant. However, you know, it will grow. Today's work was quite drastic on this ficus, but it really improved the core structure of the tree, and it's something the tree needed. I see a lot of ficus out there that have this beautiful shaped canopy, and then if you look underneath, it's like nothing's really being sorted out. It's just sort of a tangled mess underneath, and branches going every which way direction, and it's sort of like a profile prune canopy. It looks good from the distance, but if you ever saw it leafless, it would look a mess. So I think I've taken the steps to kind of improve my structure to something that I can build on, eliminating a lot of those kind of duplicate branches and branches growing from strange places and multiple branches coming from one spot. And so I think the tree, even though it looks very, very sparse, I think I like the tree better. It has a better core structure, and I think it'll improve in the future rather than all those messy, tangled branches getting worse. So it's a step forward, but maybe, you know, a couple of steps backwards also. I have removed a lot of the scale insects with the pruning, but there's still insects on there, the little blisters. So I'm going to go in by hand now and scrape any blisters off that I see, and then I'll spray the tree down with soap and water, and then in part 2 of this series I'll be repotting the tree. For the removal of scale insects, I just come in and I look at each branch and I look for the little scale blisters, and if I see them, I just flick them off with the scissors. So here is my soap and water in a spray bottle. 1 part liquid dish soap, the kind you use for hand washing dishes. Dawn, what other brands are there? palm olive, I don't think it matters. So 1 part of that, 40 parts water, give it a stir, and spray it on the tree. So I leave it on for 3 or 4 minutes, and then I rinse it all thoroughly, rinsing all the soap out of the root system, and the tree should be good. So here I go. So I start from underneath, and I'm spraying upwards to get the underneath of the leaves. And you want to get in all your little spaces, your gnarly bits on the trunks, because that's where there'll be insects. Now I'll come from above, spraying from above like this. And then I'll spray the soil surface too. And that should be good. So I'll let that sit now, and then we'll come back and rinse it off. It is time for the rinse cycle now, so here I go. I just have no idea why my tools sometimes get rusty. No idea. It was nice to get that basic core structure pruned up today. I think it'll be a really beautiful tree in the far future. It has a little bit of growing to do. So that is it for part 1. In part 2, I'll be repotting the tree in the new pot made by Sophie. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.